Got it. Everything is being live streamed. Oop, whoopsie daisies. Hello, everybody. Good morning. Let me grab my share screen document for you guys. We are going over today Psyche shifts for 6 figures. And this is so important because let's see. We're going to do this. Hello, Ashley. Beautiful Ashley out in Oklahoma. We don't want to see my face. Okay, perfect. Awesome. So without further ado, here is my screen. I'm going to do. So these are 5 mindset shifts to become a 6-figure earner, or rather how you can transform your psyche. And the reason why I'm bringing this today is because, of course, as we are ending the year, we're starting to already formulate who do I want to be in 2024? Who do I want to become? How can I make it through the effing holidays? How can I balance all of the family obligations? How can I juggle all of the clients? Maybe clients are asking for you to fit them in and all of this stuff. And so we can definitely feel that energy, right? But we're also having less light, right? It's the darker part of the year. So a lot of us can feel more tired. We can want to sleep more. We might have this pull to go inward and have more like deep reflection. So if that's what you're feeling, like, don't worry, you're actually right on time and in tune with nature's cycles. But I still wanted to talk about this ideology about mindset, because as I continue to grow in my own life and in my own business, these are the things that I never graduate from. Like, these are the things that I never get a certificate, like I got with my energy healing certifications, and they said, okay, like, you've done it. You're now a Reiki master, or you're now a life coach, or whatever. And then I'm just done with that. Growing my mindset is required at every level of growth for me. It really has to deal with capacity. It has to deal with responsibility. It has to deal with capability. And for those of you who are my students and who are watching this, hello, good morning, I love you. So great to work with you. And you know that I talk to you so much about this ideology of energy, whether it's in business, whether it's in energetic healing, whether it's in your marketing, like, everything is energy, right? And so we can intuitively feel that or know energy from using our physical senses. And one of the most important things is you're actually a powerful creator. That's something that I talk to my students in Becoming Light and my other offerings over and over and over again. Like, I really unsubscribe to this idea of this, like, codependency, right? Like, when I'm like a coach for like a period of time in somebody's life, like, I don't really feel like I'm some sort of like ascended master, right? Like, I always think about every single student who comes to me as like a god or a goddess who's very resourceful, very capable, very powerful. And the reason I do this is because it actually and ensures that those people actually ante up and become that person. Because what I've learned through many years in this field is that my mind is so powerful, and thoughts are a form of energy. And when I start to essentially work with my mind in a way where I am taking leadership and authority over my mind, it actually enhances my business. It enhances my bank account. It enhances my clients. It enhances my student relationships. It enhances my life. And that's really why I really believe in mindset so much, no matter where you're at in your business, whether you are just starting out in this field, whether you feel like you're kind of middle of the road, or whether you feel like you're a very seasoned professional, right? Like, we always need this mindset work, because it's the compass that we can come back to, right? And of course, there's going to be times when you're going to want energetic healing sessions, or you're going to want therapy, or you want to go into essential oils, but it still is going to come back to working with the mind, right? So I want to really inspire you today to not only work with the mind, but also to take action, right? Like, manifestation has 4 main categories, right? Like, you have the inspiration, the spark from the divine, whether you call that God, Yahweh, universe, source, et cetera, higher power. But you get that idea from the divine. And then you drop it down and you start to work with that divine spark, and you start to formulate it into some sort of maybe more form. Maybe you start to write a little bit about it. You start to, kind of give it more substance. Then it drops down into planning, right? You start to plan, you start to, maybe mark things out on your calendar, or you start to write a things to-do list, right? You start to plan. And then it drops down into action, right? Action is the fourth phase that manifestation goes into. And so what can frequently happen is that if we are failing to manifest something in our life, we have probably missed something in one of those four categories. And what can often happen to those of us who have experience in healing is we love to be up there because it feels so good being up there with the divine, but we still have a human body. We still have a physical body. And so we actually need to drop all of these keys down through the four phases and drop them down into action. And that is how we manifest, right? So we really want people to take action, right? Like we cannot just mindset our way to wealth. We can't just say a bunch of affirmations. We can't just, have a conversation with our spirit guides and do nothing, right? Like we do not give our sovereignty and our power completely away to the divine. We also have to step in the room as powerful creators, right? And if we stay in fear, right, then we stay exactly the same, because time is really the one thing that we can't get back. So much of us can have our own stuff when it comes to money or investment or change in general. Really, it's change. But I think one of the more powerful things is regret, right? Because we only have this one life. And so we want to do what we can to it with this one precious life that we have. And I know that a lot of us at the end of the year start, formulating about tax season. We start thinking about money. We start thinking about the new year. And I really had to get into right relationship when it came to money. I really had to get into right relationship when it came to being organized about it, when it came to being transparent about it, when it came to handling more of it, right? Like a huge wound for me was that I didn't feel responsible or capable to handle larger sums of money. And that was a limiting belief. And that was something that I had to work with within my own mindset. And so if any of this is resonating with those of you who are watching this live or on the replay, I just want you to know that it's okay. And it's just a part of the entrepreneurial path. But here's the 5 things that I want to go over that helped. So number 1 is there is a solution to every problem. And I don't know where the heck I got this ideology, but I somehow got this ideology that the feel good was always in the future, that it was always going to be, well, when I achieve this financial set point, when I achieve this milestone in my business, when I achieve this certain certification, when I achieve this amount of followers or this amount of clients, right, then it will be wonderful. And I also thought that once I had maybe certain things figured out, then I would have no problems. Like, I don't know where I got this ideology, but I got this false belief that someday in the future, I would have no problems. And here's the thing, as long as you have a human body and as long as you are here, you're going to be presented with problems, because that's actually a part of the path. Everybody has a divine contract. Everybody has a divine blueprint. And so part of you uncovering and discovering that piece of your identity that is separate from the personality, part of you really, really uncovering what your divine blueprint is, which is really your gifts that you are supposed to share with the world, you're going to be presented with problems. And you actually need to have those problems so that you can go through that hero's journey and you can actually learn the lessons that you agreed to learn during this time on our beautiful planet. And anything in life that is good, anything in life that really feels purposeful is always going to be presented with problems, right? Like greater the light, greater the shadow. And so if you expect problems, instead of trying to avoid problems, right? Like you just expect them, as opposed to hoping that they'll never happen, you'll start to train your brain to look for solutions. And that's a really, really key mindset difference, right? Like it was really funny. I was gone for a week in Canada for a training for a week long. And when I went to these trainings 3 years ago, I really thought, oh my God, it's going to be an amazing vacation. I'm going to get to totally unplug from the matrix. Like nothing's going to bother me. And what I kept finding out is every time that I left, I would always be greeted with a shit show of problems while I was gone. And I used to get in this mindset of being a victim, be like, oh, woe is me. Like, why are all these problems happening? I just wanted to have this week away from the matrix and unplug. And instead, And now over time, I've realized, oh, like these are actually supposed to happen because it's supposed to teach me like how to hold more, that I can actually hold all of this and I can actually move out of that victim role. Right. And so I now start to expect problems. And of course, when I was gone this past time in Canada, I had some major problems. We were dealing with like a lease and like moving, and there was all these issues like with the space, and and then there was like another issue with the salon. And of course, I could be a little crybaby about it, or I could just be like, okay, like here's the solutions, right? And so I just expected it, and it was great because I got to watch myself uh, have a higher level or a new level of emotional intelligence, right? And I think that it's really important for us to do that. And I feel like we do this with our kids, right? And we do this as if you're a parent, right? But it's really important for us to do this with ourselves, right? And within our business. And so anything that we really want in life, we're gonna have problems. And this is really how the universe works. We really are given problems so we can find solutions, that we can be taught things. Things we don't like are going to happen. They're going to happen. And we can either choose to feel fear and contract, or we can choose to come from that place of openness and love and really use them as reasons to find solutions. And what I learned through working with millionaire coaches over the years is that that's just how they work, right? Like that's just how they think. They think about how to find solutions, and then they don't really get emotionally caught up in the problems. And it's really awesome. It was great for me to go through this moment of growing out of like this fairy tale idea of like there will never be problems when I go away on vacation or go away on training, because you can experience breakthrough. And that was really important for me to experience that breakthrough moment. And so you almost have to have this like breakdown in order to have a breakthrough. And so let's say, for example, I wanted to use an example of which I have in my document. It's like, let's say you're at $5,000 a month, and then you want to get to $10,000 is like the first benchmark. And maybe you want, and so you're doubling it. And so what's going to happen for you is that you are absolutely going to hit upper limits on that arc from 5K to 10K. Like it's not going to be seamless. Okay. So you're going to go through problems like maybe learning how to handle conversations around money with your clients. Maybe you're going to learn how to handle conversations in your marketing around it. Maybe you're going to handle confusion or overwhelm or wanting to shut down when you're devising your new menu. Or maybe you're going to have limiting beliefs when it comes to your worthiness, right? And these are just things that you have to figure out. And it's so important that you just go through that so that you can experience that breakthrough moment. You have to have that on that arc to doubling your revenue. And what you can learn through this is that you don't have to catastrophize every problem, right? As meaning that you shouldn't run this business or become the CEO or step in as a healer or become more visible, right? Because that's that ideology that like we can really get into when we catastrophize everything is it's not working. And what happens is if you have that mindset like it's not working all the time and you find that you can get really emotionally wrapped up and catastrophize, is I think it's something that happens for us early in life as kids, right? So there was some childhood need that wasn't met. And so we can kind of essentially protect ourselves with this catastrophization of it's not working when it actually is working. It's just that this is this moment of your hero's journey that you have to go through so that you can experience that breakthrough. And it's a real bummer because I do work. I mean, I've been in this space and Becoming Light for 4 years now. And it is a break and it is a bummer because of course, like I want 100% success for all of my students. And I think that all of them are successful in their own right. But I have also been able to see places that they should have grown, right? And places that they've shut down. And it's such a bummer for me, right? Because I think it's really one of the worst things in the world when I watch people contract and shut down, because when you contract and you shut down, then you actually deny the world and you deny your clients and you deny your family your gifts. And so learning how to retrain your brain where there's a solution to every problem is really, really important. and for me, right, like that's why I like to be very transparent here, because oh my god, I have upper limit problems every single day of my life. Like everything is changing, everything is moving, everything is growing. Like I really love it, and it's very exciting, and I love sharing gifts with the world, but it also has a lot of shadow and a lot of things that I have to overcome in order to hold that, right? But whether it's a student or a salon client or an employee or a team member, like, or it's the marketing or the sales or the fulfillment, right? Like I just have to become the kind of person who just expects these problems to happen so that I can find solutions. It's just a part of doing business, right? And so that's number one, especially for people who are stepping up into new levels of capability or responsibility. Number one is so important. Number two is dealing with feelings away from the business. And this was something that myself as a woman, I really had to learn how to strengthen, because being a woman is amazing. And because we have the intuition, we have the emotion, we can really like trust our gut, right? Like a lot of us trust our gut, or we really like go into our heart center when we are making decisions. And I want to really stand up for us as women, is that we're actually amazing leaders, right? Because we're actually really amazing business owners because of that emotional nature, right? Like we really have those feelings as superpowers, especially in holistic business, right? Because we can really drive things forward in our life and our relationships when we start to learn how to trust that intuition, when we start to learn how to trust our guts. We can actually help our clients and our employees even more, and in our communities as well at large. We have so much empathy, we have so much compassion, and it's so natural for us to care about other people's feelings. And this is great because we want to make an impact, right? Like if you're here and you're watching this, it's because you want to make an impact. But for example, like something that I can use for my own life, because I have like a bunch of them lined up today, because Monday is a big day, is that I have a bunch of 6-figure empathic blueprint sessions, which are the free sessions that we give you guys if you want to apply for Becoming Light. So over the years, like what I've learned is that like if I get like a weird feeling about somebody, like right out the gate on one of those Zoom calls, like I just don't take them in. And it's not because like I think they're bad, but like I want people to be successful, so like I just won't take somebody on in the application process anymore just to make money, right? Like it's just like, sure, like money is great, but everything is energy, right? And I can feel into that, and so the money is really just a byproduct though of making an impact in other people's lives. But I really also understand that sometimes feelings can destroy my business, because they can't really be always at the forefront where I make my business decisions from. So when it comes to investing in my salon, like things that are just, I need to invest in, like even though like because my feelings will want to contract sometimes. I want to be like, oh, like don't invest that money in the thing, or like whether it's training or certification or coaching or or even just like supplies, right? So even though my feelings are really good for like the high level things of like creating the vision for my business, and holding the impact and helping me be like a really great leader and a great boss, but I don't really make like my financial or like business decisions 100% from emotion, because I will always do it from a place of comfort. And here's the thing about comfort. Comfort is actually not where you want to be if you are actively looking to grow your business. If you're actively looking to grow your business, you are never doing it from a place of comfort. I'm sorry. Like, and I know that there are variances of comfort, of being outside of your comfort zone. Like there is the like, ooh, edgy and exciting and like discomfort, and like knowing that you have some blocks, but like working through it, and then feeling like you're jumping out of a fucking airplane, and like how terrifying that is. So like, I want to like also say this with that disclaimer that like, I understand that there are variances to discomfort, but you really do want to be out of that comfort zone if you are actively looking to grow your business, because your nervous system oftentimes might be set at a set point where it is around struggle around money, right? And so you might keep making decisions. If you have that, and like that that's inside of you, then you might still be making decisions on in your business based on that. And that's why. And it might be coming from this place of fear, wanting to keep yourself safe, right? Like a lot of us do want safety and security. So it makes sense. It makes sense to the mind, right? And so this is again why mindset's number one. And this is number two, because we need to work on the mindset before we start, making those business changes and investments. Because you really need to set the feelings aside and kind of look at the numbers and be like, okay, I have this financial goal of like getting to here, and actually like I just need to invest in this thing in order to get me to that level. And it's unemotional, right? And I think a lot of us struggle with it because it's just not something that we are taught. Like, we're not taught a lot about business, obviously, in on ownership. And B, obviously, as people, most people who are watching this do identify as women. Some people do not. That's also great. But those people who do identify as women, like, we are more natural caregivers in this way. And so we do start to kind of overemphasize the feelings and never kind of get back to that middle pillar of actually balancing that with some of the logic. So just know that sometimes your feelings will want to keep you safe, and you need to kind of learn to do some work around that. Number 3 is huge. And I talk about this a lot, particularly towards the end of the year, because I know people are starting to work in their 2024 goals, which is work the business with the end in mind, meaning that I really want you to start to vision board things out. I really want you to start to manifest or write or journal, and getting specific, right? And I think a lot of you already know that at a base level, that like you need to get more specific, right? Like when people just say, I just want to feel more flow in my business. I'm like, yeah, but like, what does flow mean, right? Like, what does flow mean for you? Does that mean $20,000? Does that mean I have 5 employees? Does that mean we're carrying, we have like 7 different healing sessions? Does that mean I have a private healing room? Does that mean I have, these 8 product lines? What does flow mean for you? And so you need to really specify that and get that down, because you need to know where you're going. And if you don't know where you're going, then now is actually an amazing time. Like this month and next month are amazing times to really start to get specific on where the heck it is you want to be 6 to 12 months from now. Because once you understand what that vision is, and once you have the specifics, when it's like the financial numbers, or it's the numbers of clients, or it's the numbers of followers, or it's the numbers of employees, yada, 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 then you can start to work it with the end in mind, meaning that you start to chunk down bite-sized action steps. And then you can start to just see, okay, I need to invest in this, or I need to build out this process for calling in more employees, or I need to build out this website so that my branding is on point, or I need to get this copy and I need to get my marketing together when I'm talking about this, right? Because the thing is that when you're starting something new, whether it's new salon suite business, new salon ownership, whatever, or new healing, right? In the very beginning, like, we are just so grateful to get a couple of clients, right? And what happens is it can kind of keep us stuck in that comfort zone, and where we're just trying to meet the bare minimum, and it's not expansive. Like, you have to really think about it constantly over and over with the end in mind. Right now in my office, I have 5 million post-its. I have a fucking vision board. I have all my students written on this humongous piece of paper in my office, because I'm constantly flowing energy to all of these things. And I really invite you to do that, because it allows you to work the business with the end in mind, so you don't get 100% caught up in your emotions. And so this is why I also, right, like I work the work still, but that's why I teach a business program structured in a way to get people to 6 figures right out the gate, because I want you to have a 6-figure vision right out the gate, right? Or a multiple 6-figure vision, or a 7-figure vision, right? So that we can start to back into it. Because if you don't have that, then like you don't have a roadmap, right? So then we can figure out, okay, this is how many more clients you need. This is how much more money you need to do. This is how many more employees. This is where you need to raise your prices to, right? But also, please know, like, for those people who do have those like big expansive, like, say that you have like, you're making like 10K a month and you're like, I want to be a millionaire. I'm like, dope. But you don't want to have the vision so big that you can't hold it, right? Like, you almost sometimes need to have benchmarks. You want to feel like you could reach it within the next, 1 year to 5 years, right? So I feel like I want it to be something that you feel like you could hold, right? So you'd be really happy if, say you got to, I don't know, $200,000 a year, or, you started to, have like a $500,000 company, right? Like, whatever it is, then that would feel really good. And then therefore we could kind of design a path. And this is helpful, obviously, so that you don't get stuck, right? Or you don't feel like, right? I mean, good God, how many times in your business have you just felt like you were just throwing spaghetti against the wall, and you just like are like, I don't even know what's going on, right? And so we want to avoid that, right? We want to avoid the overwhelm, because so many micro salon and salon owners can constantly feel like they're being pulled in like 17 million different directions. And so when we start to have this vision, instead of just constantly putting out fires in the day to day, we can start to just kind of work it from a more grounded space, right? And get things done. And this is really, really where that like kind of what I call feminine genius can come into play, right? For those of you tender potatoes, 4 is for you, which is ignore the haters, ignore the naysayers, and just be okay that you're going to have haters. And I know that we want to avoid projecting that from like being like, I'm going to expect that to happen. So you don't have to expect that to happen. But for those of you who either live in the Bible Belt, or you're very introverted and you have a hard time being visible in your marketing, or maybe you have work to do with your throat chakra in terms of effective client communication, or feeling confident in your client and your communication, right? Just know that you will get some pushback, at least from like one person, right? Because guess what? Everybody doesn't like me, so everybody doesn't like you. And that's okay, right? Like it's okay to have people not like us, because it's great, because then they are A, discerning for themselves, and B, they're going to remove themselves from your field, which actually opens it up to have more people who are a heaven yes on you. And so it's really important that if you get a naysayer, I don't know, maybe somebody wrote like a bajiggity review, or they're like a refund, or maybe you did healing work on them, right? Like this is like something that where people get really attached. They have so many attachments where they go, oh my God, I need to do this healing work on my client, and then like I need to get like the best review ever right out the gate, like literally like 30 seconds after I finish doing healing work on them. Like I need them to be like, oh my God, this changed my life. It's like, bro, like that's not how it works sometimes. Like sometimes like I have spiritual healing activations that like legit take people 6 months for them to integrate. Now, there's also base level physical and emotional sessions that like they will feel immediate effects, but sometimes it can take like 1 to 2 days for people to feel that. And so people can get really attached in the beginning when they start to facilitate healing, and then like maybe they don't get the like, what's it called, like the accolades or the gold stars, and then they're like, oh my God, like it's not working, or oh my God, like what if they don't like it, what if they're they start to automatically project this idea of like maybe they're a hater, and that's not really true. But it is a part of the process, right? It's a part of the detoxification. Those of you who have gotten healing work have definitely had headaches, sometimes digestive issues, bellies gurgling, the whole kit and caboodle. And sometimes we need those physical sensations to know that actually things are moving, energy is actually moving, things are actually happening, we're actually detoxing, we're actually achieving change and growth. And so the same thing is going to happen within the business, right? And as you grow, you are expanding your energy field, you're expanding your capacity, your vessel, whatever you want to call it. And so people will start to see that, and they'll start to see you grow. And you're always going to have some clients who are like, whoa, like that's amazing. You're going to have a lot of clients say like, oh my God, that's amazing, I love it. But you're also going to have some people who might be triggered, right? They might be triggered by your success. They might be triggered by the price point that you have set things at. They might be triggered by your new way of doing business, right? And this is because the light is not always comfortable, right? You actually taking a stand for things, actually being visible, is a lot of light, and it's good, but not everybody is capable of handling that. And it's okay. It's okay. It's just part of your detoxification process, right? So, if you guys have ever had a bad review, just know it's okay. If you've had a client request a refund, if you've had a client ever, kind of have like blank eyes or a blank stare after a healing session, that's okay, right? There are just some people where like that's just the mindset, that's the headspace, that's where they're at right now. And I totally unsubscribe from being on some sort of like spiritual woo-woo mountaintop. However, that's just where they're at, right? And like I can just namaste, love and light, and release with love, right? And that's okay. And I really need to make sure that I'm surrounding myself with people who are expansive, right? That I make sure that, I see that, I handle it, and then I move on. And it's okay. Like, I don't have to like keep bringing it into my field by fucking complaining and talking about it, right? Because I'm just keeping it in the field. Um, and I learned this actually through one of my coaches. I remember one of my coaches grew to like 4 million and became really, really successful pretty fast. And I was her active student at the time, and I got to really watch her expand. And I also got to watch her talk to me about the haters and the people who would request refunds. And I just remember being so in awe, because I was like, baby, this is years ago. And I was just like in like this baby little like pupa like stage. And I just was like, oh my God, like I just want everybody, I realized that I wanted everybody to like me, and I wanted everybody to approve of me, and I wanted everybody to be fucking happy about it. And I was like, oh my God, that's like so unrealistic that I had that ideology, but I totally did. Right. And so being around expansive people like my coaches is so important for me, because it really helps shift my whole mindset about what's possible. It also shows me like a very like realistic like pathway to success, instead of this whole bullshit ideology that it's all unicorns and rainbows. And I love that she shared issues and problems that she was going through. But I really want you to see that and handle like any negativity that's happening, but also make sure that you refrain from focusing on it, and that you stay around people who really want your growth and really support your growth. Because if you focus on the negative, you'll start to just slowly fade out of the business. You'll start to kind of fade to black. You'll start to kind of just like and you'll just eventually quit, because the pain becomes too much. And so that's why I really invite you to make sure that you balance out any of the shadow with light, right? Because every successful person has to deal with this. Every single successful person has to deal with this. And I really understood as I grew, because let me tell you, on one of our ads, I think we're like, we really like amped up ad spend right now. And there are so many haters. And I actually put an Instagram post like last week, because I was out of town, and there were like all these haters who were like saying things. And so I wrote an Instagram post about intentional commenting culture only, meaning like, I'm going to delete your shit if it's like hateful, because like I garden my garden like on Instagram, and it's really important to me, because I realize, and I've learned this now, that like part of having more success and more visibility equals having more haters. And I do think about Jesus in this way, right? Like Jesus had so many haters, right? And he even had followers who turned against him. So he just had to deal with the naysayers, and it's no different for you. Like, it's just a part of the path. It's a part of being on this planet, right? And just expect it, right? And then number 5 is goes in with number 4, which is just like, they'll always exist, and that's okay, right? Like, it's okay, because it's actually one of the laws of the universe. Like, there's the Kybalion is a free book that you can literally like Google and have access to, but the Kybalion talks about hermetics, which are the laws of the universe. And so one of the laws of the universe is the principle of duality, meaning that there is shadow and there is light. There's not only light or only shadow, there's always both, right? And so you're going to have lovers, and you're also going to have haters, and it's just a part of being in this universe. It's always going to happen. It's okay, right? So but for those of you who might be struggling with that, right, like I really want to end this on a light note, right? Like, I really want you, if you find yourself struggling with it, I want you to actually do like pen and paper, and I just want you to like write down. And I had to do this as a homework assignment 2 weeks ago. Provide yourself with evidence of how good you are at what you do, whatever that means for you, right? Like, just provide yourself with evidence of how good you are at what you do. And also like what you also think about the end vision, right? Like, where's your business going, like based on that evidence, and where do you want to take it for the next year? So I hope that you loved today's training. As always, I invite your comments and suggestions at the end of this training on something that you learned, something that was expansive for you, something that you want to implement. And I will leave the link below for the 6-figure empathic hairdresser blueprint session, multi-syllabic session, at the end of this recording for you guys in the replay. And I hope you have a beautiful Thanksgiving week. And we will see you again next week in here live. All right. Bye, guys.